I'm Bambi Francisco for Vader TV, the network for innovators, and I'm speaking with Kirill Makharinsky. He is a co-founder of YouNoodle. And Kirill, thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm friends with Jim and Susan from Craigslist, and they said I'd have a lot of fun here, so here I am.
Oh, great! Yeah, they are great people.
They are.
So YouNoodle pretty much just launched, raised some funding. Can you share a little bit about how much you raised? Because you haven't really made that public, but maybe today.
So we launched the private beta of the site back in March of 2007 with several universities. So we really launched it with the top universities in the US and UK. So at Stanford, MIT, Berkeley, Oxford, and Cambridge, and have just 2 or 3 weeks ago released the public beta. So we're not actually disclosing how much we raised, but we've got some great investors, and we've got more than a year before we need to raise again.
So tell us just about the site. I mean, there's a number of companies trying to create these communities. Obviously, Vader. We're also trying to create a community for entrepreneurs, and just met with the Fundability founder, one of the founders there, and we were just discussing, the different approaches to creating a community. As you look at the marketplace of startup communities, how are you differentiating yours?
Yeah. So, I mean, just stepping back, what we're really focused on is, yes, we want to create this activity in this community for people interested in early stage ventures. What we're really interested in is gathering that data which no one's had before, to be able to understand what helps them succeed, and to be able to understand that to a certain extent. And the end game is to help investors make better decisions. So in terms of the community as being a significant part of that, what we're really focused on is particular communities at universities. We started with the top universities in the world, and we're looking at other clusters worldwide. So we're really focused on bringing in the very best people right away and from the beginning, and those guys can be found in these universities, communities that we're targeting. So we're really focused on that, and we help groups at those universities do what they do better, to organize competitions, their mailing list, their events, and at the same time we've hopefully built a platform which helps entrepreneurs and anyone who wants to connect with them as well.
Before we get into your site, what do you think your business model is going to be?
So, we're really interested in understanding what really makes an early stage company successful. We sort of feel that the investment process for early stage companies hasn't really changed much since it started. I think there's many sources as to when it started, but the first few investments were made, and a lot of it, 100% of it, is people driven right now, and we want to play a part in that process. So about $25 billion is invested every year by VCs, and about $25 billion, believe it or not.
$29 billion last year.
Right, and about exactly the same, very similar numbers invested by angel investors. So a good proportion of that $50 billion is invested into early stage companies, and we effectively want to serve that, to help that to some extent.
And which is, I think it's like 17% or somewhere in the teens in terms of percentages going towards the earlier stage companies. Right. So are you looking to take a piece of the action, and the guys at Fundability are looking to take an actual sort of a broker fee from matchmaking the investor with an entrepreneur? Is that your model?
Well, we feel that the investors, if we can provide enough value for them, they're the guys that, once we've developed a model that we will charge for, we feel we can add significant value to them. So
let's take a quick sort of tour, if you don't mind. This is your homepage when you log in, right? And so it seems like you're really very much into sort of connecting people with each other. That's a big part of your platform.
We have a pretty active community already. We've sort of
How many people do you have?
We have, it's in the thousands, and we actually have about just over 1,000 startups listed, which actually by the founders themselves. So it's quite a tight-knit community. It's been seeded here on the West Coast and also in London and Oxford and Cambridge. So those are the clusters that are seeing the most activity. But we definitely provided a really easy way for people to connect and just stay on top of startups.
When you say seeding, how are you doing that when you go into universities and seed the people or the profiles? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, by our launch itself, we've created a product that works, and just by people in this area, there's a lot of people on there that once they've run their address book, they see there's a lot of people they know already on there. On the universities themselves, the other thing that I think differentiates us is our team itself, in that we, all of us, have contributed and started university entrepreneur clubs at Oxford and Stanford and MIT. And Bob and I, actually, Bob, my co-founder, we helped start the entrepreneur club at Oxford. So we know the communities there really well. We know what tools they need, and we've built something that will help them do what they do better. So
last question. So your product, what you really want to do is filter the companies and vet the companies and find really top companies or hot startups that investors should invest in. So is this a tool that you are going to sell to angel networks or investors? Is this a subscription tool? This is how you find these are the companies that we recommend? I guess, are you going to be recommending startups?
Well, that's right. And we've been doing a lot of research for almost a year now, as well as tracking a lot of the startups that are on our network to try to understand and we've got some quite intimate knowledge of those startups that we've done research on, a lot of intimate data that is not easily available. And that's what we're going for, and just trying to add value based on that.
Okay, I lied. Last question. You are looking at factors that behind or that make a really good startup. So can you name, what are those?
We're really interested in the team itself. So at an early stage, even potentially before there's a product, but even when there's a product, that changes a lot, and we feel the market changes around that product a lot as well. So obviously there are some factors around what industry you're going into. Is there even an opportunity there? But we're really interested in the team itself. So we look at what has that person done before? Where is his stature within the entrepreneur community? Has he started companies before? Who has he worked with them with before? Does he have the respect of the entrepreneur community, and so on? So all those factors, and also when we look at the team as a whole, whether they've worked together before, how so, have they started companies together before, and so on. So we've tracked a lot of different factors around that.
But the team is the biggest, and I'm sorry, I lied again. One more question, then how do you find a winner when it's started by a Harvard dropout like Bill Gates, or a Harvard dropout, or he hates to be called a Harvard dropout, but Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, and just other people who have been successful entrepreneurs who don't have a track record? How do you spot that?
Well, the truth is, when people always see the big success of an individual as they feel it was their first success. And what they don't take into account is, first of all, the fact that they have done stuff before. In particular, even if you're at university, the fact that you have worked with people that you're working on your venture before, which increases your chances of success. Mark Zuckerberg, for example, had built what for a student was a really successful product, which I believe Microsoft offered to buy before Facebook. And then the other thing that people underestimate is the influence of advisors and people he brought on to help, like Sean Parker and Peter Thiel. So it's all those factors that help drive the startup forward.
That's true. Okay. Well, good luck to you. Good luck to YouNoodle.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Kirill Makharinsky. He is a co-founder of YouNoodle, which is a startup community, and I'm Bambi Francisco.